All right, so this is my screen here. I see that there are some people, there's some holdouts here in smoke. So Angel C, is this a new fire?
I'm sorry?
Is this, I see that there's an open fire here. Is this a new fire for you?
No,
Did I already
it's
look at that?
you already did, yeah.
All right.
Same with the smoke last week.
Okay, and Shade? I already looked at your fire.
No, that's the new fire. I resubmitted well, I think I put it in the late folder though.
Oh, you did?
I resubmitted fire, I resubmitted pixie dust, and I resubmitted smoke. Because I finally got my
All right,
computer
let
working.
me clear my desktop here just for a second.
Sorry it took so long.
All right, so they're right here.
They
Shade.
should be, yeah, they should all be right there.
All right, so let's do this. And this. The fire, pixie dust, and smoke. Okay, that looks great. You should be happy with that.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as I was expecting.
There's a little nub down here that's just
Yeah.
flashing and not moving.
I see that. Like, that was the first thing I noticed. I didn't notice.
And
it when I was doing
then-
it, though.
And then this little piece here is kind of misbehaving. But you know, I think that if you were to paint this, you would see that this little thing stops misbehaving. It looks good.
Thank you.
What do you got? 8 drawings
Yeah, 8.
on 2s? Okay, it looks good. This is your
Pixie dust.
pixie dust. Well, you've got the idea. I don't think I like that snake in there.
All right.
So what are you using to animate?
Toon Boom.
So hopefully, did you use the same color for all of this?
Yeah. I just.
So
I
one of the
guess.
advantages of Toon Boom is that if you draw the orb with one color, and then the pixie dust with another color, and then this little thing here with yet a third, and you can use as many colors as you want. In
Mhm.
Toon Boom, if you do that, then you can say, hey, you know what? Billy didn't like this snake, right? Then you can take this snake and just like kill it. You can make it an alpha.
Oh, it's its own layer, so I could just.
You could just kill that on the own layer too. Yeah, I think the pixie dust stuff is working pretty well behind it. But I think that it's just that the snake is killing your pixie dust.
Okay.
And I don't think that you would do anything else except turn that layer off.
Okay.
Because it is a snake. The rest of it looks okay. All right, and then what'd you say, smoke?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Did we look at this last week?
I had to deepen the U's and then I had to redo the portion that was coming out of the chimney.
Yeah, it looks okay. All right, hands for Shade, everybody. Yay! All right, and put this away and. So, oh, I'm sorry. Was there anybody else in the late or missing? Kyle, I see you have a thing there, but.
Yeah, I added in a smoke and then I redid my pixie dust and I put that into the redo folder.
Okay. That was Kyle?
Yeah.
Okay. I see pixie dust.
Yeah, I put the smoke into the original folder. I probably
Okay,
should have put it
alright.
into the late one.
No, that's okay. I asked, I just remember I told you I wanted you to all to just guide me through where you put stuff. All right, so this looks okay. It's a really big orb. How did you make this? What application are you drawing in?
I'm using an application called Krita.
So do you have the ability to change colors universally through the shot?
Yeah, I do.
So see if you can downplay the glow a little bit,
Okay.
just because I think that on any given frame, you would see that this is the orb,
Yeah.
right? And if this is the orb, then my idea of magic would be is that there should be magic exploding from this orb
Oh, yeah,
everywhere,
gotcha.
everywhere, and not just the center. So so the other thing that you could do is maybe go through. Do you have your orb on a separate layer?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, just go through your orb and take this down by, if this is like a 1/2 inch across,
Mhm.
then take it down to a 3/16 of an inch, so even less than half.
Okay.
And then copy and paste it where all the other ones used to be, and you'll find that what your eye will do is your eye will see the sparkles more,
Yeah, gotcha.
but it looks good.
Okay, cool.
All right, thank you, Kyle. Yay! All right, put this away. Oops, put this away. All right, refresh. All right, now I'm pretty sure we have some smoke from last week, right?
Yeah, I put in smoke into the folder for its thing.
All right, this is weird. Rachel,
Yes.
how did you get this to play? I've never seen anything play in Canvas before. Did you put this in as a GIF, didn't you?
I think so,
Yes,
yeah.
you did. Yes, you did.
Mhm.
All right, so that's not too horrible or bad or anything, except that your animation is too fast.
Mhm.
So slow it down and do some in-betweens. And then see if you can get some holes in there,
Okay.
but slow it down by half. And then take a look at it and see if you can slow it down by half again.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so let me think about this for just 1 second. Yeah, let me actually,
It could be because with the GIF thing, I'm importing it from Procreate on my iPad,
right.
and I think GIF is the most convenient way to do that.
Well, it is. I think that what GIF is an equivalent to a JPEG. It just renders a very small file. And
I see.
GIF stands for Graphic Interchange File Format, and it was designed so that animation could work universally on every single web client, every single application, because the files are really small. It's what replaced the Swift files. All right, so that looks good, but slow it down and see if you can put some highlights and shadows in there.
Okay.
All right, Angel.
That was, you already saw this one from
I already
last
saw
week.
that one, okay.
Yeah.
And now I'm seeing Deborah. Is this new?
Yes.
Okay. No, I think it looks okay. Speed's okay. Yeah, I think it looks okay. You did it the right way. Are you happy with it?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it's smoke to me. Hey, Deborah, yay! Yeah, you got this one little nook right here going backwards, which is fine. I think smoke can do that, especially if the wind is going back and forth. So it doesn't look like a mistake.
Mhm.
The only thing that is kind of catching my eye is that because this shape right here looks like a ghost. You see this little one-eyed ghost? Right here where my mouse is.
Mhm.
It kind of flickers back and forth a little bit. I think that what you would want to do is see if you can, you have 8 original drawings, right?
Right.
And then did you take it to 16 drawings yet, or is it just 8?
They are just 8, but I think I did. I increased the time of each frame.
Right,
Like
so is 8 drawings on how many frames hold?
6.
6?
Mm-hmm.
Take some time and do a in between everything.
Okay.
In between everything and slow it down and put those drawings on 6s and you'll see the dynamic will change. But it looks pretty good. Looks
Okay.
pretty good. Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Sorry, I'm trying to go through a lot of stuff here tonight. Shade. Did we see this
Yes.
smoke last week?
Well, we just looked, that was my original one.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Vivian. This is a new one. Okay.
Oh, I think we saw this one last week.
Okay. All right, it looks good.
I think I turned in my fairy dust one.
Okay. We'll look at that in a minute. Remind me, please.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. All right, Angel M. We did not see this one. This is just a JPEG. Angel M, are you here? All right, so if you happen to see this on the recording, I'm not thrilled about the keyframe here. The easiest way to explain this would be to get my tablet working. And give you an annotation. So I think what you want to do here is you want to give yourself a very easy to see set of nodes. You should be working at 16 by 9. So don't be doing any of the social media aspect ratio. All right, so if you do this, I think you'll be better. You'll be better off. Make it kind of look like the examples we used in our demonstration. Oops. All right, and then we've got Magnus. Magnus, are you here? I thought I saw you come in. Magnus, Magnus, Magnus. Magnus.
He says in the chat he's here, but he got here late.
Oh, all right. Well, you'll be able to see this if you're not there. So let me just download this. Now, don't you think that this is terrible? That the open with and the move to the trash are right next to each other? Somebody needs to go to Cupertino and yell at the Apple people.
Yeah, it doesn't seem very.
That's like, this
intuitive.
is stupid. All right, I thought we saw this last week.
Yeah, I think we did see that last week.
I think it looks good. And I think that it could use a little in-betweens as well, but I think it looks good. All right, and one more there, 2 more. Kyle.
Yeah, this is new. I didn't have this yet.
So I think this could work if it was smoke coming out of a smokestack on a steamship or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that brings to mind just the relative context that you're going to be using the smoke for. We could do smoke for a campfire or a smokestack, or even smoke for a torch on a wall in the in the dungeon of a cave. We could do it for a volcano. There's lots of different kinds of smoke, but I think that you've made it look like it's a steamship smoke. And so that's what it looks like.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping to convey, some sort of like coal burning.
Sure. And because of that, though, I think that the little jelly bean shapes for your holes,
Mhm.
like I think could use a little better aesthetic. And by my recommendation, I think that see if you can color those in maybe a darker, a gray or something like that, and maybe
Oh, okay.
not so pure white.
Mhm.
I think that when I do the demo for the pure white, I think that that's the lingering smoke that comes out of a log cabin,
Oh, okay, gotcha.
like on the Kansas prairie, and the smoke has been coming out of the chimney for hours and it's moving very slowly. So
Okay,
see if it works better if you just color those in like a dark gray or something.
sure.
It looks good. Thank you,
Cool,
Kyle.
thank you.
Hey, Billy, I heard that you were calling me. I was held
Yes.
up with something.
This is yours?
Yeah, we already did that last
You
week.
already saw that one. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we were seeing new ones, but we had already seen yours. All right, Ryan,
Yeah, I think you've seen that one already
Seen it,
because
right?
I haven't updated it at all.
and Delilah, did we see yours?
Yes, we already saw it last week.
Okay. All right, so let me put this window away, refresh. All right, and then what I would like to do is I put a folder here. Where did I put it? All right, let me grab these and put them over here. No, I thought, okay, so let me look at pixie dust. So open this in SpeedGrader. And let's take a look at just the files as they show up. So I see, Victor, have we seen your pixie dust already?
I don't think so, no.
Have we've seen everybody's, but okay, let me. All right, Kyle, I think it looks pretty good. Sorry, Victor. Obviously, I think you need some more contrast.
All right.
And I think that now I'm doing something, but you can't see what I'm doing. I just increased my screen resolution. Yeah, I think that what you have is that you have a nice cloud of dust that's working fairly well. But you only have a few little sparkles of pixie dust. And I think that you need quite a bit more of those in there.
I like the way it's zoomed out at the end.
Yeah, I like that too, but I think that, yeah, I think that you need to look at that demo and put in just all those little sparkles. And
All right.
I know it's a pain, but as you do it, you'll realize that it's actually a really cool thing. It's one of the easier things to do in animation, but it's really has a cool effect. All right, thank you, Victor. Yolanda,
Yes.
hello.
Hello.
Okay, so this is working pretty good here. I think that you've got a little octopus happening though.
Oh no.
So what application did you use to make this?
Toon Boom.
Toon Boom. So go in that, and I did a little demo for you. Hopefully you gave everything on the layer, its own, either its own layer or its own layer and its own color?
Yeah, I
And you
did.
can just either, you can do a couple of things. One is that you can make the length of the tail on the pixie dust a lot longer.
Okay.
And I would recommend using the charcoal brush.
Hmm.
Oh, it looks like you discovered the charcoal brush.
Yeah,
So you have these
can't really
little
see it because I put
stripes.
parent on
Wherever
it.
you put these little stripes or end up looking like an octopus.
Yeah.
Did you use a separate color for them? In Toon
mean
Boom, I recommend every
I
time
did
that
use a different layer. Is that what you mean?
a different layer is fine, then
Oh, okay.
you can put a node on that layer and turn the opacity down.
Yeah,
Um,
I could do
but
that.
I always recommend using different colors because then you can just change the color universally in the whole shot. And you can give it an alpha just like in 2 seconds.
Right.
That's like one of the beauties of working with Toon Boom.
Mhm.
But I think you've got it. It's just that you've got a little bit of an octopus thing happening. I think that would just that would tighten it up and make it just even more awesome than it already is.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep, it's looking good. All right. Carmen. Okay, this is looking pretty good. You know, they don't always have to look exactly like my demo. So this is great. I like, you know, it's fast. The pixie dust is big. And it doesn't, and because of that, it doesn't sparkle as much, but it is sparkling. So there is one thing that's catching my eye though. Let me see something. No, it's just me going blind. Oh yeah, this is good. I like this. Did you have a fun time doing this?
Yeah, it was very fun.
Yeah, this is good.
Thank you.
Kind of a chunky pixie dust, but that's okay. You got the explosions and the falling correct. It looks good. Okay. I know we're going faster, but we had a lot of stuff to look at. All right, and then Angel C.
Yes, hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Alrighty. Okay. We looked at this. Did we look at this one last week? No. we
No,
didn't.
this is my first Pixie Dust upload.
All right. So you can tell just by looking at any still shot that don't outline these. Don't give yourself outlines because then you're driving.
It looks kind of
like-
looks like a comet that way too, huh?
or a piece of fabric.
Oh,
And-
okay.
and try not to do this. Try not to give yourself repeating dots along a line like they're perforated. It really the appearance of the pixie dust really should be random. You know, when I'm doing that demo, it's like back and forth and up and down and back and forth and up and down and go forwards a frame and backwards a frame and forwards. So I think that just especially right in here, you've got it looking very much like a fabric, a piece of fabric, like a piece of cloth that's trailing behind it. So, and that transition right there is really hard. Yeah, and you've got, you know, you got these little ticking, these little perforations. And I'm just framing through it right here, so. It doesn't take that long. See if you can just redo the pixie dust part of it.
Gotcha.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you,
Angel.
Billy.
Okay, thank you. All right,
The pixie dust is so interesting because it's really simple concept. And there's so many like little things that can just absolutely tank it.
I think that the idea of each sparkle falling for at least 4 or 5 frames and you tracking it and remember, you don't have to track it absolutely perfectly because if you miss 1 or 2, that's the sparkle. You know, I had this long discussion with my supervisor at James and the Giant Peach, and we were doing snowflakes. And I said, she gave me the tracks and she showed me the timing and I did everything. But there were some snowflakes that were really in the middle, mid-ground. And those snowflakes were just big enough that they could sparkle. They could show a glint of light, and then all of a sudden they would disappear for a frame or two. And she said, well, I don't want you doing that. And I said, but snowflakes do that. And then, we were having an intelligent conversation. It wasn't like she was yelling at me. And I said, but what if I always remembered to pick up the track either 1 or 2 frames later? And she said, well, how am I supposed to control that with you? And I said, the pencil tests, and I said, we're gonna do this with optical compositing, which meant that they were going to take my drawings and they were black dots on white paper, and they were going to shoot the black dots on high-con film. And then they were going to take the film and do an optical compositing right over the final negative of whatever shot we were doing. And I said, as long as the pencil test looks good with black, then it will work with white. It will sparkle, I promise. And we tried it on a shot, and I think she might even talk to Henry Selick and said that the final optical compositing for whatever shot was just going to be a test, because I was testing the sparkle. And it's almost like she didn't trust me to continue all of the ones that picked up from the sparkle. But Henry said, no, this is perfect. And so what started out to be just a test shot ended up getting in the final. And there were probably 20 shots in James that had snow in it. And I didn't skip frames intentionally everywhere, because it is kind of a pain to forget that you're going to do this snowflake and then pick it up again on the next drawing, because it was kind of a pain to keep track of it. I don't know why I went on that rant. Why did I go on that rant?
I said that there was a lot of little things that could tank the animation.
Yeah.
I think you
All right.
were connecting it to that.
This is Reagan. Okay, so for the first time tonight, I think Reagan, what you need is more of a spread. I don't think you need to erase anything. Let's just pick this frame right here. I think the idea would be is to get that spread. It's a sparkler that's moving through time and space. Come on, Zoom, wake up. Zoom, there we go. I think that what you need to do is just add some sparkles that trail behind it. And then remember to get those to fall. So if I'm looking at this as the relative size of your orb, and then I said, the distance that your orb is moving frame to frame is probably something like this. And I suggested that people slow it down or speed it up. And so for at least 8 or 12 drawings behind it, that there should be pixie dust falling and trailing behind it. So I think that you've got this, your tail is just a little too short. So just add some flakes back out here behind it. I think that's all you need to do is just add a little bit more. All right, you got that, Reagan? All right, let's refresh. And Deborah?
You already saw my pixie dust.
Okay, that looks great. How long did it take you to do this?
I don't remember. Maybe 2 hours.
2 hours. That's what I was going to guess. All right, so this looks pretty good. There is only one technical thing that's catching my eye, and that is that you used a 4-point star for every explosion, and I can see it.
Mhm.
And it's definitely catching my eye. You've got the idea. You totally, absolutely have the idea. It looks really great. But every time you did an exploding star, you used a 4-point star. So what I would suggest is, you know, I don't know what to suggest. If you add the in-betweens to make this one, any one of these 4-point stars an 8-point star, it's not going to help, because it's just going to mimic the idea of, well, I don't know, it might work. So see if you can take some of the 4-point stars and turn them into 8-point stars, just to see if it adds a little bit. But the other thing that you might want to do is just occasionally, like right here, put in a brand new 5-point star. And you might see that it has a really great effect. And the other thing that you could do is, like, if you pick this frame particular right here to do the 5-point star, then see if my advice works about getting the star to explode, you know, 6 or 7 drawings out there, you know, like that. And then on this one, just this one, have each one of these explode into a little baby 5-point star. And that might be all you need to do to get your eye away from your 4-point star thing.
Okay, cool.
Yep. And remember that these don't have to all explode on the same frame.
Mhm.
The beauty would be is just tracking it and having them delayed by 1 frame apiece from each other. And don't go all the way around in a circle, that would look strange. Just do it random. So that would be my suggestion, to take what you've got, which is already crazy good and awesome, and make it even better. All right, cool. Looks
Yes,
great.
thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you. James.
Is this the explosion?
What's that?
The explosion one?
This is pixie dust, I think.
Oh, we did my pixie dust last week.
What about it?
Oh, we did it last week.
Oh, we did it last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's looking good. I think you just need a little extra on the tail. Hopefully I said something like that too last week.
Very, very similar, yes.
Well, I try to keep the critique this honest in what I see, because there's no other way to do it. I could get myself into so much trouble if I start giving out different comments, you know, based on some strange subjectivity. All right, Chloe, I don't think we saw pixie dust from you last week, did we?
We did. I need to make my tail longer, like way longer. I think you said 3 to 4 times longer.
But this is this a short one? This looks really short.
Yeah. So I haven't updated it yet.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that's just my thing.
All right, so I'm gonna make myself a note. I'm gonna make a new late folder. I'll call it late 2. Just so that it visually keeps track of where we are. All right, so I gave you notes on that one last week, right? Chloe.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I thought I had the thing unmuted, but yeah, you gave me notes last week.
Okay. And this is Shade. All right, this is a very good start, Shade. I think that just on any particular frame, and this is very common, that you want to just increase the length of the tail. Sorry, I'm getting my green back. It just shows up better. So just increase the length of the tail just a little bit more on all these given frames. and then make sure they're falling. Now, did you do your exploding stars? Shade, Mr. Shade? Because that's what I would recommend. It's just spreading this out just a little bit more, and at the same time increasing the length of the tail, and then doing some exploding stars. All right, if you're listening and you're on mute, just do a screenshot. And Vivian. Okay, this looks really good, Vivian. I think you have a very clear designation of a line on the top and bottom.
Oh yeah, kind of.
So just add a little bit to break up that line.
Okay.
Just add a little bit on the top and bottom to break up the linear quality of that line, like especially right in here.
Yeah. Okay.
Let them just be random. And then I think just go back, that should only take you a few minutes. And then add your exploding stars in there, and I think you've got a nice piece.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I would be careful in this area right here, because your line is really,
Oh,
really
yeah.
tight. So remember, it's magic. It's exploding magic. So a little bit more here. Or you know what? It's almost like you have two things going on. You have too many little pixie dots in there, and they're not spread out enough. So instead of just adding more, see if you can erase a little bit of the density, and then continue to let it be more random.
Yeah. Okay.
And then exploding stars. All right, looks good. And Magnus.
Hey, I probably added a little too much, but
It's okay. Well, it's okay. I think it's okay.
awesome.
Yep, you could totally have the right idea. Yep, looks good.
Awesome. Thanks.
Magnus. Yay! Okay, Kyle,
Yeah, we had already seen them.
already seen that one, okay.
Yeah.
Ryan,
I think you've seen mine too,
Okay.
because I still haven't added the sparkles yet.
Juan Perez. All right, so Juan, your tail's not long enough. And I think that you have it. There's too many. Let me pick up that, like this frame right here. It's like spreading out too much. Actually, let me go back and look at this frame by frame for just a second. All right, so Juan, I think that what you've got is, I think that you want to try to add the very notion of this pixie dust having the look and feel of a tail. Because right now, I think that what you've got is you've got like this umbrella look to it, or a little jellyfish look to it, where at one point it actually looks like it's going like this. I think the idea with pixie dust is that your orb is traveling along the line of action linearly. you've picked whether it's going up and down and around or whatever it's doing. And so you track that, you look at it, you say, okay, that's working. And on any particular frame, and remember you test that in terms of timing. And then on any particular frame, remember you've got the orb just spitting out the pixie dust itself as it leaves it behind it. Uh-oh, I moved away from. So my suggestion would be is see if you can maybe clean up some of this stuff above it. Because it's true that you should have some pixie dust in front of it and some on top, but I think you got too much on top. And you definitely don't have enough trailing behind it. And as soon as you do that, you'll see that on the next frame, all of this stuff has to fall. On the next frame, it has to fall. So see if you can make that adjustment. All right, and we have Delilah.
Mine this week. Oh, we already saw it this week.
Okay, this looks great.
Yeah.
You can be very happy with it. It looks great.
Yes,
I think you might need a little bit more above or a little bit more below, a little bit more random quality, but maybe not that much. I think it looks pretty good. You got sparkles. Yeah, I think that you could probably use a little bit more falling, but that's up to you. I think it looks really good. Yeah, it looks really good. All right. Try to look at this many files so quickly, it's tuckering me out. All right, Tristan.
This is my redo one.
This is your what?
My redo.
Redo, okay. Yeah, I see that, okay. All right, so a second one where it looks like there's a piece of cloth trailing behind it. So see if you can get the cloth, the idea of the cloth to disappear. I think your orb is just a little too big, but you definitely want to see if you can get more of a random quality to the magic. And remember that the pixie dust is falling. It's not dragging behind it like a piece of fabric. It's magic that's falling.
Right.
Okay? All right. Thank you, Tristan. Yay! All right. Now let me refresh. Oh, I don't want to do that. Wait. Oh, no, I could do that. Did I miss anybody in the pixie dust? Okay, let me put this tab away. Let me refresh this. Let me put all of these over here. Oops. All right, and then explosions. Yay! All right, Victor. Oh no, you threw it in. Boom. I think it looks okay. You know, you didn't do the fused thing, but I think it looks okay. You get the idea. You missed the idea of using the black and white frame to elicit the explosion. Go back and look at your demo from last week on YouTube. The explosion itself is fine. The clearing of the dust is fine, but I think the impact is going to be a lot greater if you use that white frame, black frame idea. All right, Yolanda.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Uh-oh, she's gonna blow up a dinosaur, everybody.
It's just a toy.
Yeah, that's the idea. I think the background that you have here, that these points should be sharper.
Yes, okay.
You know, don't make them curved lines. It just looks a little too friendly
Mhm.
and not like the aggressive nature of a dinosaur exploding. And I think that you might even get away with getting these lines to be a lot more straighter too. The actual timing works okay. And it always does, as long as you follow the example.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe just trade out or alter this background so that these lines are a little straighter. What do you have written here? Made in Toon Boom.
Yeah.
I was thinking, oh, you made it in Taiwan.
No.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Rachel,
Hello.
you've got a GIF too for this one. So you see what happens when you put a GIF in there.
Right.
And by the way, the guy who wrote the code for GIF file format, he'd originally said that it's supposed to be a GIF, but the problem is that GIF stands for graphic interchange file format, and the G stands for graphic, and G is a GR sound. So they convinced him to let everybody say it as a GIF. And so he said, well, you can say it either way, a GIF or a GIF, it doesn't matter. But it loops, and it loops really fast. So the idea would be is to maybe put 2 seconds of black at the end of your timeline, just nothing, so that it doesn't keep exploding.
Okay.
Right? All right, exploding bunny, everybody. Carmen. Yeah, you got the idea. That's following all of the directions. Yep, that's the idea. Carmen, everybody. Yay!
Thank you.
How to critique 100 QuickTime movies in less than an hour. Deborah. Yep, that works. It's easy, it's fun, it's not terrifying, and you can make anything explode now. Good job. Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you.
Uh-oh, Chloe, I see it's blank right there. You did not do your explosion.
No, sorry, I'm behind a little bit.
Oh
as you can
my
see.
God.
Please don't bury things in my front yard.
I will.
Please don't.
Okay, this is James. So I see that you interpreted your smoke just a little differently, and you didn't do the flash like I recommended. I think that getting that flash to go all the way off the screen really helps the idea of the power of the explosion. But I think that you mix your visual metaphor by saying, okay, that was the explosion. And then all of a sudden you change from the explosion smoke, bomb smoke, to smoke that comes from an explosion that is a very big explosion miles and miles and miles away from us. Because that's what this shape reads like.
Totally, yeah. It
So
looks,
I think that the idea of doing the smoke is just the flash of the gunpowder. But I think what you need is definitely the flash accompanying the whole screen and the switch out of the black and white frames. And because I'm yelling at you, just put EXP for your file name. You don't
okay,
write
yeah.
the whole name out.
Yeah, I felt guilty doing that. So, all right.
You yell.
Yeah, no, I'll fix it all. Thank you.
All right, Magnus,
Hello again.
you got lots of stuff to look at today, huh? Yep, that works. Yep, yep, okay, that works. Thank you, Magnus.
Thank you.
Ryan,
Hello.
uh-oh. Sure, that works. A little radiant energy right there. Yeah, I think that's fine. So, right, instead of doing a fuse, you did radiant energy. Sure, absolutely. And Voltorb had it coming to him anyway, because he's a bastard. Okay, good. Rolling right along. Delilah.
Yes, hello.
Ryan's like, no! You exploded Voltorb.
That was in response to the exploding dinosaur.
Yeah. Exploded a birthday cake. Nice. Okay, so Delilah, yeah, this looks great. Now you can see like a whole table full of kindergartners that just get covered with icing, right?
Yes.
Yep, that looks great. Okay. And Tristan.
Yes.
Billy, this is Kyle. I thought I had posted my bomb animation last week, but I just posted it again.
Okay,
now,
we'll go
so-
back. We'll go back here in just a second. Okay, Tristan, this is working. It's pretty easy, huh? Okay, that's working. Thank you, Tristan. Clapping.
Thank you.
Yay! All right, Kyle, you said refresh
Yeah.
and go back to Kyle. You blew the doors off the safe. You know, I think that it's working, but your fuse is way too fast.
Gotcha.
So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Take those 16 drawings and put them at least on 2s.
Okay.
And see if you can get the idea of the fuse having the pixie dust.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And you know, it is a tricky thing to just get it to fall, but for whatever you have, that little fuse is just a bit too fast.
Yeah, I think if anything, I really just need to make the bomb a little bit bigger in frame.
No,
and
no,
then
don't do that.
No?
No, you don't need to
Okay.
do that. If anything, you would want to make these lines really straight.
Okay.
You know, don't give yourself an organic starfish shape. Make them really sharp and straight and aggressive.
Okay.
And the colors are fine, but yeah, just more straight and sharp and aggressive. And then one suggestion would be is that this is the door to the safe.
Mhm.
So when you go to the new background, have the door hanging off broken and show all the money and jewels inside the safe.
Yeah, well, I wanted the door to still be there, actually. So,
Right.
but I needed to kind of do a better job just outlining everything still.
Okay. All right, do we miss anybody? I'm refreshing. Everybody okay? Okay, let me put this tab away, refresh here. All right, so I have all that stuff to do right there. All right, so let us do this. Billy's been running around like crazy all day. All right, so let's take a break. And I will catch up with what we're going to do tonight. It's not a surprise. You probably have an idea of what we're doing. So take a break. Take 15 minutes. 14 minutes. Come back at 7:45. 7:45. All right, I would like, if it's possible, to have a conversation pretending that everyone is actually alive and that they can put stuff in the chat. You don't have to have your camera on. But I want a consensus.
I'm probably
from-
alive.
Yeah, you're alive. What I'd like is to just discuss our next project, because there's two different options. All right, but before I do that, I wanted to see everyone back. Can I see thumbs up from people? Chloe's there, Carmen, Deborah. Thumbs up, Juan, Yolanda, James, Rachel, Angel.
Yep.
Shade, thumbs up. Shade. Shade.
I'm here, sorry.
Okay. All right, so my idea, looking at my list, was that I was kind of responding to Shade and his comment from a couple weeks ago when he said he was panicking whenever we started a new project. Have you gotten over that, Shade? A little bit? Or do you still panic a little bit?
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, it's not bad. I redid the fire and then I added to redid the other two also this weekend, and it wasn't bad. I think it's just a lot of it's just so new.
Yeah, it is new.
So
Well, I was looking at my list, and the thing that was driving my list was our spring break. Now, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm never wrong. Dude, Billy, you're wrong all the time.
if you're wrong, I haven't particularly noticed.
So I don't know why I have this sheet in my hands. I don't know where this came from. So I'm gonna look at my calendar, because that's how it's spelled, calendar. And now you're gonna hate me for the rest of your life, because now you're never gonna say calendar. You're gonna say calendar, but you're gonna think calendar. But now you'll always remember how to spell calendar, Carmen. Carmen's like, "Hey,
Calendar
just
sounds like
stop
the
it."
name of like a character in Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah, exactly. I grew up in Ohio, and so everyone said Florida. Florida, Florda, Florida. There's no I in Florida. My high school teacher's like, "What are you doing?" Garage.
Yeah, I'm from Missouri. Words are weird there.
So there you go. All right, so our spring break is not next week, but the week after. Kenyatta's spring break is the 27th. So what I thought, instead of like handing out some long-winded walk cycle and getting it started, that I thought we would do a water splash today. How does that sound for everybody? A water splash. All right, I got a couple hands up. Can I see some thumbs up across the board, or thumbs down if you hate that idea? I like this because
This is rigged. There's no thumbs down button.
There isn't?
I don't think so. All I have is a clap and a thumbs up.
Well, you could put a crying face in there if you want. Like this. No. All right, so I didn't see anybody, or you could put it in the chat. No, Billy, no. Okay, because then it'll give us the chance after midterm, spring break, to spend a couple weeks on the walk cycle, a week on the run cycle, because it's a little easier, because it builds, it compiles what you've learned about doing a walk cycle, and then spending maybe even 3 weeks on the walk cycle, because it is the one thing in the principles of animation class that kind of just makes animation make sense, if that makes any sense. And then starting on your final. Remember, I've said this before, but what I'm looking for is a run, catch, jump. And it doesn't have to be in that order. It can be jump, catch, run. It could be all kinds of different things. And what I'll try to do is I'll try to find some of the examples as we get into that final of students across the world doing that very same thing for principals class. And you could do it too. I mean, you could just take a look at, see what the run, catch, jump assignment is like. It's very traditional. San Francisco State partners with City College, and a lot of times for their spring festival, they include the run, catch, jump from both of the beginning classes of those schools. And one year, Kenyatta College was even in there because it just happened that way. So let us talk about water splash. Okay, so if I don't see too much resistance to the water splash. All right, so what I'm going to do is we're going to do the water splash, and I'm recording. Okay, so we're gonna do it in Rough Animator, and I'm just going to make a new project. 24 FPS, 1280 by 720 is 16:9 ratio. Say okay, and I just want to drive the ratio thing home because my high school students today were trying to figure out what proportion means, and even though they're 16 or 17-year-olds in high school, they've never heard the word proportion. 16 divided by 9 equals 1.777 as a ratio. 1920 divided by 1080 is the same ratio. See what I'm doing, everybody? 7 divided by 4 is very close to that ratio. So if you were doing thumbnails and you had graph paper, you could do 7 by 4 squares, and that gives you a very good thumbnail for anything that you're doing in animation at the 16:9 ratio, right?
I can't see
4K.
your screen, Billy.
What am I doing? Oh, I know. I stopped sharing because
Oh, okay.
I had to let somebody in. Oh, but you didn't see the other math, did you?
No.
Sorry. Let me do that again. So 16 divided by 9 equals 1.777. 1920 divided by 1080 equals the same exact ratio. 1280, oops, sorry. 1280 divided by 720, it's the same exact ratio. So if you're doing 7 squares by 4 squares, hey, look, oh, sorry. 7 squares by 4 squares, that's a really great thumbnail. And I use a little graph paper where a square is 1/4 inch. So that would be 1 inch tall and 1.25 inches wide or something. So that's just a little cue for you about how to get your thumbnails in the proper proportion and the proper ratio as early as possible. Okay, so having said that, we are in Rough Animator and we have an hour. And so I don't have to go too fast. I don't have to go too slow, but let me do the right thing. Let me do the right thing, Chloe. Let me do the right thing, Carmen. And we're going to do the right thing by going to our Google window. And we're just going to put in 2D animation water drawing. And I don't want to splash because my computer remembers what I'm doing and it's just going to give me the same thing regardless of what I plug in. All right, so I like this one. This is a Joe Gilland water. He was my supervisor on James and the Giant Peach. He worked in LA, but I actually met him when he came up to San Francisco. He is now the director of the effects department at Vancouver Film School. He is the author for Elemental Magic, which I think I spoke about last week or even the week before. And I made a comment that it's not just a book on how to do special effects. It like talks about how to make art. It's general enough that it's like one of the most brilliantly written art animation books out there. And I'm getting all kinds of weird other references here. So, but this one looks good. This one looks okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at our board. Remember, you all are invited to this board. So let me take you to the effects board. And I'll make a remark that it's just kind of odd because during the time when spring semester at Kenyatta College happens for principles of animation and the 2D special effects class at the at the Academy of Art University, these three projects coincide with each other: the pixie dust, the fire, and the water splash. So it's like I wasn't trying to make it easy on myself. It just kind of happened that way. All right, so we're on Pinterest. So if I click on this one, I would get everything that kind of relates to it. And I'm not quite sold that this has all the shapes I want in it. It's only okay. I'm looking for something a little more in the Joe Gilland. So this says Joe Gilland, and this is the pencil line, and this works. This is exactly what I'm looking for. I'm not getting a good cross reference, so I'm just going to leave that sit there, and I'm going to open Pinterest again. Because remember, the best thing that you can do is just do your research, do your reference, get the stuff in your eye. We're not doing a wave. We're not doing this huge, wonderful, mystical Japanese tsunami. I heard there was an earthquake today in Japan, and they're expecting a 3-foot tsunami near Fukushima. So this is the Great Wave. We're not doing that. We're doing just a regular water splash. And here's the Joe Gilland. I'm going to open this in another window. It's not behaving. Hold on. There we go. So I'm going to open this in another tab. And I'm going to open this one in another tab too. So let's see what we've got. We've got the black and white, and then that relates to the color. So those two are identical. See that? So I can look at this one and see what it referenced. And I'm not seeing any other trends in water, which is kind of weird. This is Joe Gilland. This is the end of that. So I'm going to put that over here. So it goes from here to there. But we also like this one. There's just some really great shapes in there. Now, if we look at this, we see there's a lot of little shapes out here at the edge of the splash. And if we tried to follow that on 2s at 24 FPS, it might take us a little longer. So we're going to simplify this just a little bit. And this is good because in the writing for the Elemental Magic, Joe talks about sitting there next to a pond and throwing rocks in the water over and over and over again and trying to see what the shapes of the water look like as he's throwing those pebbles. So, and let's see if we can see anything cross-reference. This is the same thing here. There was one other one. This one is a simplified version. This is not Joe. This looks like it's somebody doing a little bit of reference for 3D, like they're trying to do a water splash in Maya or 3D Studio Max or something. Let's see what else we get. You know, this is a digital illustration, either in Photoshop or Illustrator. You know, this one is interesting. It's okay. I think just in terms of water splash, this one is almost too simplified. All right, let's keep looking. This is the end of that water splash for Joe Gilland. And remember, this should just be referencing that click we hit on water, and this is the same thing. Let's see if we get something different just by clicking this. And I'm not seeing a big trend. So let me take a quick look at anything else in the middle. All right, so I think what this is here, it's just showing you different kinds of static water splashes. If they were like stickers or something, this is not frame by frame suggestions for animation. And this one, I don't know if I've seen this before. I think it's interesting. It's very stylized. The one that says photo bucket on it. And I think this might be something more feature film oriented. Let's kind of move on here a little bit. All right, so I like this. I'm gonna leave this one sit first. It might not, it says Joe Gilland, but it might be somebody just being inspired by Joe Gilland. But I love a couple of things about this. One is that there's a sense of perspective in there. And then in this one, we can see, I guess I didn't click on it, sorry. That was this the black and white one? Let me get the main color, this one. So this is the one I want. And I'm going to put that last. So what we're going to look at here, the first thing that we're referencing is our stage and our layout, and the water is in perspective. This one, it gives us an example of frame by frame. And again, it's Joe Gilland. And then this one is the third, the fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth drawings for that splash. And we're just gonna improvise on that one actually just a little bit. All right, and then this one, it's like the mother of all water splashes. So one thing that I would like to do is just kind of give you just a little bit of heads up. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for just a moment. At James and the Giant Peach, I think I started out doing snowflakes. The Peach and James and Centipede, all the characters had gone off course as they were sleeping. They were all drunk on peach juice, and Centipede was supposed to be navigating, but he was asleep at the wheel, and the Peach winds up in the North Pole, and everyone's freezing. And in that sequence, it allowed for tons of different snow, tons of different kinds of snow. I already talked about that. But then when they started their journey back to New York, because they were supposed to be going from London to New York, they had all kinds of other adventures. And one of them was running into the shark. Does anyone remember seeing the movie?
I watched the movie truly horrifying amount of times as a kid.
It is kind of terrifying. I think that Roald Dahl did not intend for it to be a safe Disney.
Oh no, I just meant that I watched it like a lot because it was my favorite movie as a kid.
Well, good, but parts of it are terrifying.
Oh yeah, all good.
And I think that it's terrifying because Disney had allowed Henry Selick to just stay true to the book,
right?
Which is almost as terrifying as Pinocchio is.
Right. Well, that book specifically, it mimics a lot of older fairy tales that were very specifically supposed to be scary because they served a specific role in society. As
Pinocchio, you mean?
Pinocchio and James and the Giant Peach both really. They're both like reminiscent of old fairy tales, which if you look into kind of like the history of storytelling, old fairy tales served this weird purpose where it was kind of like a way for kids to deal with really scary stuff in a safe environment.
Well, to be true, Collodi had wrote the chapters of Pinocchio to be didactic, to be very explaining to kids what's going to happen to them if they misbehave. And Roald Dahl just kind of didn't like kids, you know, and if you look at all the Roald Dahl stories put together, you know, everything from the witches, James and the Giant Peach, everything, you can kind of see that he tortures kids. He really does. I mean, in James and the Giant Peach, the first line in the book is a rhinoceros escaped from the London Zoo and killed James's parents. Like, what? What a way to start a book.
It's real severe.
And so he had to go live with his aunt and his two aunts.
Awful.
So when the Peach was going back on course, they ran into trouble with the shark. They see this mechanical shark come out of the water, and the shark starts chasing the peach because, you know, sharks eat peaches.
Sure.
In the movie, the shark even sends out little mini sharks to go after them. And Ladybug comes out and hooligans, ruffians, and she smacks the flying sharks with their little purse. And there's water everywhere. Everything that splashes back into the water, I had to animate that water splash. So I probably did 8 weeks, just solid, of water splashing. There was even one where Jeff Howard, who's like a master effects animator at Disney, doing water for Pocahontas and Hercules and every movie in between, had the shark, if you remember, that there's a real close-up of the mechanical teeth of the shark, and the shark is trying to get the mechanical teeth to start, and it's like they start and then they start and they start and there's water splashing, and then the teeth start going really fast like a jet engine, and there's water just spraying and splashing everywhere. And Jeff Howard had all this water. It took me 2 weeks of just solid, complete keyframe breakdown, in betweens, keyframe breakdowns, all the 2 solid weeks. And while I was doing it, I was like, this is really stupid. If the shark's teeth are going that fast, this water would not be beautiful. It would be straight lines. It would just be a spray. But I talked to my supervisor and she said, we're doing what Jeff wants. You know, he's the master water guy at Disney. I'm not going to second guess what he's doing. So I just did it and I put it in the thing and it got approved. And then about a week later, I see Nancy St. James in my little office area. And she's like going like this. She's looking around and like, you're looking for the water shot 2150, aren't you? She looked at me and she's like, yeah, how'd you know? And I said, well, it's really stupid. If the shark's teeth are going fast, why would we be doing all this beautiful water? And I like had it on the top. I said, it's right here. And she said, and I asked her, I said, are we cutting the whole shot? And she said, no, but we're going to cut like 80% of the last part of it. And I said, and she said, are you mad? I'm like, well, no, you're paying me, right? And I did get to work with Jeff Howard, but I did all this beautiful water and it's gone. You know, it's in the Disney warehouse in Kansas City. So, but during that time, I learned how to do water really well. It's like water splashes all over the place. If I did one water splash, I did 1,000 water splashes, and they were Jeff Howard. So when I see the Joe Gilland ones, you can tell that they're sharing the same kind of approach, the same kind of energy. And so what you're getting from me is a 3rd degree of Jeff Howard, Joe Gilland, Sari Guinness, all the effects people at Disney, Tony Stocky, everyone who worked on that. And so let's go through this. Typically in a layout, we would want to start at or around the cinematic third, the lower left cinematic third. But for this, we're going to put the water in the middle, and we're going to put our horizon line up just a little higher because we want the perspective to just be a little deeper than this one. So I'm going to change this layer 1 to layout, and I'm going to draw my layout just with a light blue or something. And I don't want to be too confusing. I'm going to make it green. All right, so I want my horizon to be up. Oh, I don't want it to.
If you don't mind me asking, from start to finish, how long did James take to animate, like for the whole movie?
About 3 years. I worked on it for about 14 months. I started just after the middle of production. When I came in, they were more than halfway done with the film. And the reason for that is because the production, Henry wanted the shots to be approved before we started doing the effects animation on top of it. So it usually a feature film like that in those days took about 36 months, about 3 years. Pre-production can last a long time. Did you ever see Klaus?
I did
on
not see
Netflix?
Klaus.
House was crazy good.
It's beautiful. It was in pre-production for 10 years. So that doesn't count. And as soon as they started working on it like full steam, they were working on it full steam before they got the contract from Netflix. And from that point, it was about a 3-year production. So it was in pre-production for about 10 years and then production for about 5, but Netflix only paid for about 3 years of it. A feature film usually takes about 3 years, just about
Okay.
3 years.
Thank you.
And if you're at Pixar, it takes about 3 years, pre-production, production, post-production. In the olden days when DreamWorks SKG was around, they were trying to do a film every 11 months. Shrek, Shrek 2, Shrek 3, Shrek 4, Shrek 5, Puss in Boots, all the spin-off, all the TVs, they were trying to do those feature films in 11 months.
Jesus.
And everyone I know at the studio just hated working there. They didn't even want to admit they were working on Shrek. All right. Vanishing point. We want a sense of perspective. So I'm just going to build a quick grid. And again, I don't have the option to hold my shift key down. So I'm just kind of getting that grid in there and my horizon lines. And this is my layout. So on the layout, I'm going to go back to my reference. This is beautiful. I'm going to add a cone. So one reason why I wanted my vanishing point this high is because we want something to come in here. We want a projectile to come in and hit the water and cause a water splash. I'm doing mine backwards here, but that's okay. To come up out of the water. And from this point, we're going to draw a cone. From this point in our layout, we're going to draw a cone. And the cone is going to be slanted to the right because the energy is coming from the, it's slanted to the left because the energy is coming from the right. So in drawing this cone, we're going to look at this and see that there's an open quality to the away side of the cone. So we're just going to kind of pencil that in right there. And we can also see that there's a lip on the cone. So we're going to get that working. And in terms of our layout, we can see that there is water that is in front. So we're going to let that water come this way. And the water that goes off behind is hard to see. Does everyone understand what I'm drawing? This is the contact point where the rock hits the water. All right, so from here, what we can do in our layout is start connecting these forms just a little bit. And you can see that they're not all the way, it's not solid all the way around. Water is very flexible. And so we can put like a little area of water here. We can do this. One thing I don't want to do is I don't want to cover up this cone because I want to see the 3D quality of this. Inside, you can see that there's a thinner part of the water, or maybe where there might be a different color. So I'm going to suggest those in our layout. And I want to suggest what you see in the very front of the cone here as just little spines or tendrils, and then little areas in the back, big droplets of water, little droplets of water, and trying to get the energy coming up this way and this way. Okay, so that's my layout. On the background, what I'm going to do is pick a blue and just copy my background line. On layer 1, we're going to do W underscore rough for water. We're gonna do a rough water layer. And I want it to be on top of the layout. On my layout, I'm just gonna extend this out to 96 frames. 96 frames is 4 seconds. We can make it 5 seconds. We can take this out to 120. All right, don't be scared, I'll explain. So I'm gonna leave this at 5 seconds, 120 frames. My water rough, I'm not gonna start drawing right away. I want a pause. The rock is gonna come in first, but I don't even wanna see the rock. We're gonna start on frame 16. So I'm gonna take the water rough layer and extend it out to 16 frames of nothing. I'm gonna add a drawing afterwards and decrease this by 2s. So now we're on 2s. I want to draw a rock, and I'm going to make the rock some sort of brown color. On the layout drawing, I can say the tick marks for my rock should probably be something like this. That's where it'll hit the water. So here in my water rough, I'm going to use the same color and just start the rock coming in. Just draw a little shape. If I draw the little shape exactly the way I want it, I can just copy and paste it. I don't care. I'm just going to draw the same shape coming in. Add a drawing, add a drawing. It's moving fast enough. These drawings are not overlapped. So you can get away with all kinds of flexibility in the shape. The rock might be tumbling. It doesn't matter. What matters for us is the water. But we have to have something splashing, something has to hit the water. All right, so one more. And that's our plunk. So this is the last time we'll see our rock. Let's take a look and see what that timing looks like. All right, I think it's moving a little slow. So let's take this down to 1s. And I always do this. I always do it on 2s first to see what it looks like before I put it on 1s. Let's see what it looks like on 1s. All right, so now it's moving a little fast. So I'm going to take just the last ones and I'm going to on 1. So I'm going to put this on 2s and this one on 2s and see what that looks like. All right, so that looks a little better. Let's see what this one looks like if it's on 2s. All right, so now I got 3 drawings on 2s and 4 drawings on 1s. All right, so that looks okay. It doesn't look horrible, it looks okay. All right, so that's our rock. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a drawing, and this one's going to be on 2s. This is our first splash. What I'm going to do with this layout layer is kill the opacity on it. So I'm going to bring it down to just so I can barely see it. Remember that what we're really looking for is the good stuff, the holy grail. We've got this cone, we know the front is good, we're all good. All right, so now right here, back with my paintbrush, I'm gonna pick a blue color that's from my palette, and I'm gonna start drawing the first frame. So what I wanna look at now is what the sequence looked like. So I can see the first, the second, the third, the fourth drawing. We're gonna alter ours just a little bit, but I like this because I can see the splash in a number of different starfish-like tendrils, but I can also see the cone starting. So I'm going to start right here by just drawing the cone coming up. I'm going to go back and look at the shape, and I'm going to say, well, I could use a little bit of water here. I can see the water coming towards me here. I can see the water going to the right. I can see the little cone. I can see the water going away from us. And just a little bit like that. You don't need to see the rock anymore. Next frame. All right, so now the cone is going to increase. The cone gets a little bigger and the water keeps going up. So you could draw this cone this little shape right here, that would be fine. It's coming up about an inch. This water, it doesn't just go off, it comes up first. This water comes up. I don't like that one. I'm gonna kind of not bring it up quite so far. This one, I'm gonna bring it up a little further. All right, then this is the water that's coming towards us. This is the water that's going away from us. We really can't see it except for the edge of that cone. Next drawing. All right, water continues to come up. I'm gonna have the water continue to come up and come out. So this is not coming towards us, it's coming up first. This is coming up a little bit. This is right here, here. This is the cone now. The cone is up here. So now this water is up here even. The away water can be like that. Next drawing. All right, so now we're almost at the full height of our splash. The cone is matching the layout. So now we can start to pull in some of those forms. Remember, we're just doing this rough at first. I'm gonna take the onion skin down just a little bit. All right, so now we got, I want a variety of shapes here. I want water droplets, I want big, I want small, very small, spray of water. Next drawing. All right, so now this one, this is our 5th drawing here. Now that the water actually starts to break apart a little bit. And we don't see it here, and we don't see it here unless we interpolate that this is like a low to the ground, low to the surface of the water kind of splash. So that's where we're going to reinterpret this a little bit. Here, instead of the water coming up, now it's going to fall on its arc. So I want to get these little volumes of water just moving to the left. And let's see what some of the shapes look like as the water moves away from the cone. And you can see that there's these little U shapes. See the little W's and the U shapes in there, and there's little droplets of water falling after it. So we're going to emulate some of that. All right, and then the water away from us goes up a little bit. The water coming towards us comes just down just a little bit over here. The cone kind of just reaches its maximum height, and we've got that rough in. So I'm going to go backwards a couple of drawings and make sure that we've got the cone working. So I want this cone to plume out and continue to plume out just a little bit. And we missed the cone on this one. And on this one, we can see the cone. You can see these. You can see the away water now. Again, we're just doing it rough. We're getting the volume of the splashes of the water. Next frame. All right. To turn the opacity down just a little bit more. Okay, so now this volume of water continues to move. It's not going to really speed up like we saw in the principles of easing in and easing out. It's just going to continue to move. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go backwards a drawing by using my arrow keys and forwards, backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards, so that so I don't miss any main volumes of water. All right. So this water here is already kind of hitting the surface of the water. The cone has kind of just become nothing almost. These away pieces of water are going to continue to just fall on their arcs. So I'm just going to draw the arcs. The arcs become the water itself. I'm going to do a new drawing. All right, so now this one, this little droplet of water here has already hit the water. So I'm going to do a mini splash right here. These guys over here are almost ready to hit the water. We're going to give them one more frame to hit the water. This one's going to be 2 frames to hit the water. I'm going to go backwards a drawing. I'm going to put another secondary little bit in here that we're gonna follow through with this one. Water is kind of elastic. It can kind of do all kinds of fun things. It can start out large and then just kind of have surface tension and come back together again. I'm going to go back a couple of drawings and get this stuff working right here. All right, so this is doing the surface tension. This is doing the surface tension. And then finally, this is the drawing. So this one, we're going to have this and this and this and this. I'm going to add a drawing afterwards. And now this is going to hit the water. This is going to hit the water. This one is going to be a smaller one. This is moving forwards. And the reason why I'm doing it like this, because we want to track about 10 or 12 pieces of water first, and then go back and do another bunch of them. So this water here, splashing, 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 going back. This is splashing. So these are secondary splashes. And another drawing. I apologize if I'm going too fast. But then again, I don't. All right, so we've got a whole bunch of drawings here. Let's see what it looks like. I'm going to save this. Billy B underscore, just W for water underscore version 1. Go into the desktop, say okay. Let's see what it looks like. All right, so just with those first drawings, you can tell that it's already working. All right, let's turn our onion skin off completely and see and turn our layout off. We don't need this anymore. Well, let's just get a hint of it, just a hint of it. And let's go through this frame by frame. So on our water rough layer, we have the rock coming in, and that's on 2s. And then it speeds up, even though the position on the arc is the same, by just putting it on 1s for the last couple of drawings. And then the water happens. And then it spreads out, it plumes out, and there's a cone. And on this drawing, as long as we're here, I'm going to remind myself that we want those little tendrils of water on the cone. This one, tendrils moving up. This one, the tendrils are covering up so we don't see it. This drawing is okay. We probably need something here, and we need something here, and we need to continue those out. And the cone is going away. These shapes are good, but we need to figure out what those shapes look like here in just a moment. All right, then the water surface tension brings these back together again. And that's looking okay. Let me go backwards a frame or 2. I want something right here, and I want to carry that. It's already following through. That's okay. So we're gonna have to deal with this in just a moment here. All right, but basically we've got most of the water accounted for. On this next drawing, I'm going to increase my onion skin and go to this next drawing and just follow these guys backwards and down and down and down and a little mini splash. These happen on the same frame. Another drawing, up and over and up and over. Another drawing. Keep everything like this and you should be okay. All right, one more drawing. And then we have something to think about. Let's take a look at what we just added. Save it, play. All right, so that looks pretty good. I like the little splashes that we just did right there. All right, everybody okay? Everybody happy? Carmen, you happy? Okay, so now let's talk about the plunk. Now, I don't see Joe Gillen doing a plunk in these examples here. There's a hint of it right there. There's a hint of it in this one, But let's think about this. As the rock comes down, it hits the water right on this frame. And then the very same frame that it hits the water, it splashes a little bit more water to the left and a little bit less to the right because it's moving to the left. It's fine, it's great. But the rock is actually taken a little volume of air down with it. It's done that thing where it has gone into the water, and as it hits the surface tension of the water, as it goes down, it's pushed all this water out to make room for this little pocket of air. And as the stone goes down here, these little bits of air bubble up, but this pocket of air collapses back in on itself and pushes back upwards. So that's just on our layout. I sometimes I do that on the main layer and I have to yell at myself. All right, so, but that rock hit the water right there. And now the water is pluming up. We can see the cone, but right about here, we can start the plunk coming back up. If we initiate it right here, we have to decide if we still see this water right here or not. So let's start on this frame right here. On this one, what we're going to do is we're going to just animate this straight ahead. We're going to have this water going straight up. Even though the rock came in at an angle, this water is going straight up. The air pocket just pulled it and is pulling it straight up. We've got two little clumps, and those clumps are going to become more spherical, and they're going to slow down. They're going to ease into their top position, and then they're going to stop, and they're going to slow back down, and they're going to speed up as they go back into the water. Just a little bit of acceleration. That's all you need. All right, the next one is a new frame. So this one's going to hit the water right here. And guess what? There's going to be another little splash. This was a big pocket of air. So now there's going to be another. This one's going to be more symmetrical because it's hitting the water straight down. And my hand won't behave. So I'm going to do the left and the right first. Then I'm going to get one that's coming towards us. Two that are coming towards us, one that goes away. And there's like 6 little pieces of water right there in the next drawing. Same thing, they go up. It comes up before it goes down. Up before it comes down. It's just a smaller splash, but it makes the one that you've done just look so much better. All right, and the water surface tension is making these guys just become water droplets again. We can add to it later if we'd like. All right, and then this is already hitting the water, the surface of the water. This is hanging up there a little bit. Next drawing. So this one is going to hit the water. It's going to do another little splash. And we need these. I'll tell you why in just a second. We desperately need these. Make sure I got this in the right place. Looks like I might have skipped a frame. I did indeed skip a frame. All right, so let's just do this one right here. All right, let's see what this looks like. Save it and see what that little bit of secondary plunk looks like. All right, everyone okay? It's like magic. It's like magic. I've only been doing this for 25 minutes, right? I know I'm going fast, but you can always look at the recording. All right, so we like this. Everything that we're doing is good. It's rough, but it's still very good. So I'm going to look at this one. And the first thing that we're going to do is just kind of look at our Shape of Water. And that was a great movie, by the way. Brilliant movie. Guillermo del Toro is so awesome. And I'm going to go to the next frame. And I'm just going to kind of rough in some more of these little shapes right here. Just a couple of them, because I want to talk about, well, let's look at it one more time. Timing. Okay, that looks really good. So now what I want to do is I want to look at this frame right here. On this frame, we are already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drawings into the main splash. But we drew this cone. We were very particular about drawing that cone. When the cone hits the water, it creates a little ripple in it. It creates a little ripple in the water. So that's what this stuff is down here. In the very first frame, there's even a ripple. So let's now do this on a separate pass all by itself. Using the grid, we're going to give ourselves a ripple on the left and on the right, and maybe just one in front of us, just a little bit. And we'll do that just do one at a time. The ripple is going to move at a constant rate. So just give yourself like 1/8 of an inch or something. The one towards us is just a little bit. Now, the physics is that the ripples actually continue out to infinity, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to give ourselves like 6 or 7 drawings. Because they get covered up by the splash that's coming here. All right, so now let's just take a look at those little ripples and see if we can see those just by themselves. All right, see it? Let's see if we can continue them out a little bit further. So on the blue one, now here, this one, there's just a little hint of it. This one, just a little hint. I don't think we need to continue that one. But now we've got some new water hitting the surface. So right here, just do it one at a time. Just do the left one first and then go all the way across. So for this one, a little ripple. This one, get the ripple to come out. You don't even need to do one in front. Just get a little bit of ripple happening. And like count it. That's your 3rd, your 4th, your 5th drawing. 6th drawing. You could go as long as you wanted. You can make this go out, but I think it would be easier to dissipate it. Now let's go to here. And this, let's go backwards. Let's stay in order. So we just did this one right here. So let's start this one. Now this one is going to have 1, and they cross over each other. So just keeping track. And that's why we use the grid. We want to keep them in the same line. All right, that was fine. Go back to this one. You don't have to pay attention to what number, just pay attention to what it looked like. This one hits the water right here. Next drawing, ripple, 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 ripple. All we need is just that little bit. I mean, what we're doing is just, we're drawing perfect oval shapes, but we're just cheating it. We're just drawing the right and the left edges. All right, so now let's look at this one. Let's go all the way to the right. Yep, we need a ripple right here. This one's going to be a little bit bigger. Make this one a little different. Next drawing, out, out. All right, as I see this, these are all in a straight line. So I want to get the other ones that are going to give us more of a circular oval. So I'm going to put one of these guys right here. I have to actually animate it. So this one right here is moving here, and then we didn't get it. So these one are hitting the water. This one and 2 and 3 are now hitting the water right here. So at this point, that they splash right. So they do a little splash. So go back and do your splash first. Really rough. Next one. Next one. Go back a couple of drawings. Forwards. Do two of them at once. Ripples. And continuing. All right, now let's do some of the ones that hit right in the middle. We're looking at the water that we actually need to draw right here. So let's do one little splash here that is going to hit the water right there on the next drawing. So there's a little splash. 2, 3, 4, and go backwards and add the ripples. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go backwards. This one needs a ripple right here. If you do these the way I'm doing it, all you have to do is use your arrow keys on the keyboards to go forwards in time. All right, so now let's look at this plunk. It needs a ripple too. So it hits the water right here. Can't really see the ripple. The water's covering it up, but on this one you can see it. This one you can definitely see it. It takes more of a form. On this one, it's definitely got more of a form. You can see it moving out. And you've only got a couple more frames in your timeline. You don't want everything to end all with the same drawing. Well, let's see what we've got. We've added a whole bunch of ripples right there. Save this, play it. All right. So what I'm going to look at is a frame like right in here. I see a pretty good even distribution of splashes and ripples here that if I was looking at my layout, they're going to take on a circle that is in perspective. That makes sense, right? So this is where your water should be hitting this, your splashes should be hitting the surface of the water, but there can be other splashes in here. So you don't want them all in a straight line. You want to make sure that you've covered enough of the area that it looks good. So it looks like we have a splash right here. Let's go backwards a drawing. So there's a splash here. All right, now let's check this one. So this is the secondary one in the middle. I think it looks okay. Save it. Let's take another look at it here. All right, I think it's looking pretty good. My next step, I look at the timing. It looks like water. You know, that plunk would actually be undulating the water up and down for a few moments, but we're going to cheat. We're just not going to do that. There are sliders that you can use in Unity and a bunch of your other Maya 3D applications that you can actually get the computer to do that for you. But this looks okay. You know, we've only got a handful of drawings here and it's looking okay. So the next thing that I want to do on my rough layer here is just make sure that I've got shapes that I can paint. So let's see if we can define some of these shapes here on our keyframe just a little better. So these are the early drawings here. So we definitely want to make sure that we've got shapes of water that we can paint. And that we've got, if we add too much, we're going to end up having to do ripples and secondary, tertiary splashes. So make sure that what you're doing here is just adding in shapes that you can paint and that you're not going to drive yourself mad. Unless you already are mad, and then that's okay. All right. Another drawing. So this is where they're breaking apart. We can add a few little bits in here. Make sure that if you're doing that, that you just follow through with them. I would highly recommend just doing it straight ahead like this so that you don't lose track of it. You can use your arrow keys to just make sure that it's moving correctly. Looks like we missed an area right here. Not every single bit of water needs to either make a splash or follow through, but you definitely want to make it look like there's a dimensional quality. And this is the ones that I was looking for right here. So right here, I want a little splash up and the ripple that goes along with it. Oops. Forwards. All right, let's take a look, save it, play. All right. So again, we're just going to look at this frame right here. And now what I want to do is I want to match it to the keyframe, which we can actually kind of kill right now, because this next step, you want to make sure that this part is working good. But if I turn off my onion skin altogether and I turn off my layout altogether, this is what I got. You know, so if I really truly want to make sure that these shapes are paintable and closed, I want to really clean this up a little bit more here. And I can also add in a little bit of spray just to get that look, right? We're going for that one. And we don't want to kill ourselves, but we do want spray. And the spray is like magic. You don't have to follow it through, but make sure that it's working. Make sure your shapes look like water. You know, I'm borrowing these little spindly shapes from Joe Gilland. Spray, go backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards, a little bit of spray. Could you do this? Just so that's what you're doing. You're just doing closing shapes and spray. So start here, a little spray, continue the spray. Oh, that works perfectly, right? Forwards, get this little interior shape here. Follow it. Oh, it's already there. Spray, spray, spray. It's a little light over here, so let's look at that. Oh, yeah. So we could use a little bit of water there. These are just lines, so you want to make them volumes. All right, so let's go backwards a couple frames. Spray. You don't have to think foam, but just think spray. All right, save. And let's take a look. All right, I think that it's okay. What I would do is I'd stop at a random frame, make sure that these shapes look like they're water shapes. You don't have to have that much detail in there. But if you get the overall kind of flow, the overall kind of big, medium, and small, you know, right now we've got a big shape here. We've got medium shapes. We've got small as the spray. Continue to just close these forms. You know it's already working, but just make sure that the shapes that you're drawing look like water. All right, save it. Back to the beginning, play. All right, there's your water splash. I know I did it fast, but that's because we're recording it. But the process is the same. Do your layout, figure out what you want your water to look like. It's ideal if it comes in an angle, because that gives you a chance to play with more water being pushed to one side or the other. Do your rock first, and then follow the example. Just get your water to plume up. It comes up and to the left and to the right. And it's pretty quick. And then do everything at everything at one part of a time. Do the main part of the water splash first, and then get the water to hit the surface, the little splashes to hit the surface of the water, and get that working first, and then do that secondary plunk, and then get the ripples working, and make sure that the ripples are happening in a sense of perspective. Okay? All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the playback. I'm going to just take this out to 120. I'm just going to leave it there. I'm going to make a movie. I'm going to export to a QuickTime movie. Billy B W _ version 1 desktop, and it's already there. I'm going to make sure it's playing, and I'm going to put that example in our classroom. So I already put the late folder in there. So I'm just going to put this in the announcements area. And I'm just going to say water demo. Make sure I got the right one. All right, that's the right one. And I'm just going to put it by itself. It's already there. I just said hi. So that QuickTime movie is there for you to look at. Make yours a little different. It's always best to make yours a little different. All right, go back to the announcements. In this area, I'll put our Zoom recording in the discussion area. So the Zoom recordings are all stacked up here. And as I get the Zoom recorded into the desktop, I will put that up in the discussion area. Everybody okay? All right. It's very fluid. One of the things you want to think about is that water can dissipate. It can disappear. You know, it is a freak against nature that water is very heavy, but it can also be a mist. It can also be smoke. It can also be steam. Water is like an incredible effect. And so when you get these big shapes of water, don't be afraid to let the surface tension bring them down to medium size and then smaller shapes. And don't do too much. Just kind of follow along with what I did. And it should just take you an hour and a half or something. You know you're doing it right if you're having fun with it. Got it? All right, we're gonna let you go a little early. We do meet next week and then we have spring break. And I think everyone is almost caught up. So I have a lot of points to put in the grade book, and I'll do that tonight and tomorrow. And we will see you all next week.
Thank you, Professor. Have a good night.
Hey, guys,
Thank you.
Thank you, Billy.
Okay, ciao for now.